Okay, so I've color-coded now. Reservoir 2 is the green one. Reservoir 1 is the red one. And this would be the interpretation, where the main fault kind of comes down this way. So this is a thrust fault, where the left-hand side is moved up relative to the right-hand side, which is moved down. There are some other faults too. I didn't put in all the faults, but you can see that there's been quite a bit of offset on the fault. Now, interestingly enough, there's another horizon that I hadn't really, I talked about it, but I kind of skipped over it. And that's this one, the Maya Seneca, which is there. And right here. What you see when you do the correlation of Maya Seneca, there's not as much offset there. More like that. So not only is this a thrust fault, but there's also some lateral motion on that fault to give you that sort of a configuration for the fault plate. Okay, so we took this back to PMEX and said, okay, you didn't want us to drill any more wells. Well, we went out and found a well on the right-hand side here of the fault, and we think that this interval here might be prospective, and that interval there might be prospective because those were the reservoirs. Because those were the reservoirs on the left side of the fault. Okay.
Are you talking the ones by default, the little?
Well, here was well number 1, the discovery well. This was the well. This was the well that we had found on the other side. Here's the fault down here. Okay. Okay. All right. So we took that back to PMEX and we said, well, let's go back and test. Let's go back to this well here and test these two intervals. These two intervals, this one here and that one there. Test them to see if they're gas productive. And so PMEX said, wow, that's great. Can you go a little further now? Can you go further away from the fault and find any more prospects? So we extended out to the edge of the 3D survey. What you just did is you just drew in the fault. That's this one. Here's the discovery well again with the two reservoirs, one there and one there. That well 1009, which is on the other side of the fault, there were the two reservoirs there. You could extend them to the fault and to the fault here. And but now there was a bigger structure. As you go off to the right, you see there's a bigger structure here. Well, it's actually not a bigger structure. We're actually doing our seismic line is actually doing a loop here, as you can see in this bottom diagram. So it's part of the same structure where we've got the seismic line just making various angles at various points. So, but nevertheless, they said, well, can you find, let's go across this structure, or let's stay on the structure down here, but we'll also go out into this area as well and see if we can find any more gas sands. And so, that's what we did. We went back, we raised our consulting rates and said, sure, we can do that. So what I ask you to do is now carry on. We found another well here. We found this well here, well number 1A. Notice the distance between the wells. 9,788 meters between these two wells. And this is a little bit over 7,000. So we're talking pretty exploration scale here, not reservoir characterization scale. So here was I'm going to use a different color here. Excuse me a second. Okay, so here was the something's acting up here. Okay, so reservoir, the upper reservoir, number 2. On the other side of the fault. There's your fault coming down through this. And reservoir 1, I'm going to color that yellow this time. Reservoir 1 down here and down here. And you are able to do your correlations across the fault. And so now, can you make your correlations all the way out to well number 1A? So spend a few minutes just doing that, if you can extend your correlations out to this 1A here. Okay? And then we'll see if we have those sands in there, and if there may be perspective. Now, look at the paleontology here. It's quite different. They found... I'll look at this myself and see if I can... Okay. In this well, they found the fossils that correspond to the second reservoir, reservoir 2, the green one here, but they never found the fossil down below that corresponded to this yellow one. So, but you can still do a correlation probably, but it also helps whenever you've got any kind of a datum, you should use it. And in this case, you had that third interval that we had an age date for. So that was this one, and I can't read what the name is, but here it is, there it is, and there it is. So even though we don't have the orange marker to correlate across to this well, we do have the green marker and then an overlying blue marker that we had found earlier on. Just to remind you the blue marker was this Maya Seneca one, and it occurs up higher in the stratigraphic section. So Maya Seneca is here, Maya Seneca is there, and Maya Seneca is up here, there, and there. So you've still got two markers now. What you're trying to do is see if you can find these two reservoirs, the green and the yellow one, in this well here. And you'll be high on structure, so that may be good. You may have a good gas accumulation if you can find those horizons. So take a few minutes and do the geology between this well and this well. See if you can find those intervals.
Casi en estas partes va a ser continuo. Entonces, esta. Así. Casi va a haber continuo. Porque me he tratado por la falla. Pero yo le pongo la falla. Este es